Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wick. Today is April 15th. Today's episode is going to cover the horrible price action of the last weekend. We're also going to be talking about Jasper's ideas about why Rocket Pool finds itself where it does. We're also going to be talking about some developments for the Smart Node Stack version 2 that Joe shared. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Right, so over the weekend, and I guess even on Friday, because I covered it on Friday's episode as well, was some really horrible price action that you all saw. And what happened was on Friday we had like a leg down, and it was quite brutal. And then on Saturday, I think it was Thursday and Saturday, or Friday and Saturday, then we had another leg down, and it was really bad. So this was from the 12th. So this was from Friday, where we got that leg down, and the ratio went down to 0.0068, 69 here, but like 68. And the price went down to like $22. And people were just kind of talking about it. So here Maximus tried to reassure people, saying RPL is no different from any other altcoin, all are down 20+%. And that was right, but it didn't feel it didn't feel very good to be in that situation, right? He says, just to put that in perspective. So what he was trying to get at was like, this was a market-wide sell-off. It wasn't necessarily an RPL specific problem, and that other tokens suffered just as badly. Like I think Arbitrum and some of the other like tokens like Celestia, others like that have just like they got decimated over the weekend. And then, like I said, like it wasn't just limited to the Friday dump. Then it carried on into Saturday as well. So here on the 13th, the ratio took another hit down, and it went down to 0.0064. And on the USD chart, it went down to actually let's look on Binance for that. It went down to $18.10. So since then, it's had a little bit of a recovery, but it's still not showing too much strength. Let me just refresh this to get the latest price. Yeah, $20.45. It's really weak, right? Like it really did get hit quite hard this week by the price action. So that was definitely something that was not fun. It wasn't fun at all. Like the sentiment in the market was just horrible. Of course, ETH got hit down quite badly as well. Let me just get that loaded. Yeah, it's down to 3,100. The ETH ratio against BTC had a cycle low close, and they made a new low for the cycle as well at 0.04622. So like I was using the example of the ARB token a little while ago. That basically a few weeks ago it was $2.45, and it went down to 85 cents yesterday. So it was down 66%. And they've had a lot of unlocks and sales and stuff as well, which haven't helped. But this is what I meant, that like a lot of tokens got hit quite badly in this period, and some of them are like struggling to recover. RPL being one of them. And when that happens, it can sometimes mean there might be another leg down, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It might just mean that we chop this way for a while before we slowly grind up again. Like no one of course knows, but it's just not a fun time in the market. What's really funny, well, not funny, it's kind of sad, is that the last few months, basically since November of last year, we've kind of been range bound on the dollar between like $25 and around $33, with a few wicks going above that. But now this is the first time that we've kind of decisively broken down below that. We still haven't gotten a new cycle low, and that will come with prices below $16.85. But well, not cycle low, sorry, post Atlas low, I should say. But it's still not looking very good there. So of course, with negative price comes negative sentiment. So here we had Mr. Jorgensen, who says, "Hi folks, can someone explain to me why the sentiment is so calm here?" Which is actually quite funny, because the sentiment, it wasn't calm, but I guess relatively. And then he just kind of complains about how he has 15 validators and he's had to pay multiple times to have his RPL above 10% of collateral, and he's saying, can someone convince me that the next year won't be like the previous one? And then Patera says, no one complained when the price was going up. RPL is volatile and lately it's been going down. It's not collapsed because there's not enough liquidity for everyone to exit. There is an exciting proposal to rework the tokenomics that the community is currently working on discussing. So then, of course, that happened there. This was actually a really interesting question that came up from the DE. He says, so what's been going on these last 2 years? The huge pump right before the hype hit, and then what happened? Who are the big sellers? The same people that pumped it early. Why are we so confident? Why were we so confident? By the way, I've topped up every month. So Jasper actually gave a really nice answer here. He spent a few minutes talking about this. He says, on the question of who are the sellers, I think it's a very big popular it was a very big popular trade for venture capitalists to buy LST tokens at the end of 2022 and sell them right around when withdrawals were enabled. So this will happen to Rocket Pool, right? Like it went from $7.50 all the way up to $65. So it was basically like a 9x pump in the depths of a bear market. Like we were still in the bear market at that time. So Jasper goes on to see, you can see that the RPL, the Frax token, Lido tokens, they fared very similarly against ETH in that time period. The difference was that Rocket Pool's RPL continued to have outflows. My guess is that VCs that bought early sold at a profit, and then node operators that launched at the inflated RPL value ended up at loss and began to exit. This was exacerbated by the dusting attack that locked away many node operators from touching their funds for a month, right as RPL was peaking. Blockchain Capital dumped all their ODAO earnings over a short period of time, which was painful. And then he says Binance's listing shifted liquidity from RPL ETH to RPL USD. Since the RPL USD price has been relatively stable, the early Binance whale had mostly been okay. However, it feels like they are too now underwater. And then he says the narrative got even more sour when EigenLayer kicked into third gear with the advent of native liquid restaking wrappers and Pendle. And then, the DE asked, was this coordinated? And about the dusting, he says no one knows, but probably. So yeah, like the times they've been really bad for Rocket Pool, but then to turn that around, right? Like, the last year has been down only. There've been no narratives coming into Rocket Pool. But then the opposite now is the case where, we've got a bunch of narratives for Rocket Pool on the horizon. We have Houston, which will make Rocket Pool the most decentralized liquid staking protocol by far. And also it will introduce the idea of protocol level whale marriages. After that, we have NodeSet going live, which hopefully should be bringing in a ton of new node operator ETH and a whole lot of TVL with that. And then after that, we've got this tokenomics rework and the Saturn upgrades that will be introducing those, which will hopefully help Rocket Pool go to the next level. So I know it sounds horrible, like to keep saying these same things over and over again, but that's where we stand right now. And until we have something to help us move, we're not going to move. Okay, next we have this post from Joe. He just posted some eyes in the GitHub link, and this was Rocket Pool Smart Node Blob version 2. And then I said, what is this, Joe? And he said, I believe the technical term is rocket fuel. I said, I love it. He says version 2 is now in the team can test it on the DevNet state. Once they're done tearing it apart, we'll put Houston under public testnet. Beta 1 comes out, and then the fun begins. And then that's where the fun begins. So let's have a look at what Joe shared here. This was a GitHub link to Smart Node version 2. And this is what's going to become the docs for the Smart Node version 2. So it says the Smart Node version 2 is a complete rewrite of the Rocket Pool Smart Node that aims to improve existing functionality, add new functionality, and make it dramatically easier to maintain. It incorporates modern tooling and techniques, years of lessons learned from working with the original Smart Node in the wild, and many suggestions provided by users that made sense but just weren't practical to build into version 1. This guide is meant to serve as an introduction to version 2 for both developers and node operators alike. It's intended to be a living document, so it will change over time as testing on version 2 continues and the release is refined. So overall of what's new, so there's new stuff with installation, there's new node container and service daemons, there's new APIs, there's new logging, there's new ways of doing transactions, and then there's some command line interface changes with command changes, and then there's information here on how to install version 2. It says prior to installation, please note that Smart Node version 2 will only work with the Rocket Pool Houston upgrade. It will not work with Atlas or any previous Rocket Pool protocol versions. And then there's information about installing the Rocket Pool service, and after that, how you like run it as a operator, and then building a version 2, and then there's components that are for reference. So here there's Node Management Core, Node Manager Core, Rocket Pool Go, the daemon, API servers, the command line interface, etc. So all of these information will now help with Smart Node Stack version 2, which is really cool. So thank you, Joe, for putting that together. That's going to be a huge help once we get closer to Houston, so we can all start playing around with it, and it's hopefully going to make Rocket Pool being a Rocket Pool node operator even easier, especially once we can build a graphical user interface on top of that. Moving forward, we got this really cool block that came into the protocol. However, it didn't come into the smoothing pool. It went to 1KX. So 1KX, of course, are one of the largest Rocket Pool node operators, and they got a block worth 47 ETH, 47.7 ETH, which is a huge amount. So congrats to them. They definitely won the lottery that day. Of course, they have so many validators. For them, it just kind of becomes a part of the expected rewards. Like when we work out rewards, we say, you get 3% as a node operator, and then you get 1% on top for MEV, etc. And basically, this is their 1% on top. It's just they have so many validators that it gets divided out across all of them. It becomes a smoothing pool of their own of sorts. So yeah, good for them. Okay, next we've got this update about some formatting stuff. So Samus here said that basically the tokenomics discussions were kind of really difficult to follow along, because what was happening was that like there was just one thread or one page, and people were just kind of like talking in there, and it was really difficult to kind of discern what different things people were talking about. So he made a bunch of different threads. So one is for bonds and MEV, another one's for like using the RPL direct capture method of liquidity providing, another one was surplus revenue, another one was universal, the universal, I forgot what it stands for, UARS, and then RPL issuance as well. So UARS is universal adjustable revenue splits. This is like a change in the name from variable commission, since they're going to be like, he says the thread to discuss the details around how we split the revenue and propose tokenomics, change the name from UVC to UARS, since UVC is commission, but UARS includes other things beside node operator commission, such as the voter share, RPL burn share, DAO share, etc. So that's cool. The one that I've been contributing to the discussion is the one about liquidity pool and how that should work. And then there's there's a really nice little discussion going on there. But you can follow along with any of that if you want. And it just makes it a little bit easier now to see what people are thinking about those different topics. Okay, we got this really cool little thing on the Beacon Chain website where they rank how good different validators are. And the number one ranked validator on the Beacon Chain is actually a Rocket Pool node operator. So this node operator with validator 604830 is the top 0.1%, and they are the number one ranked node operator on Beacon Chain, which is really cool. So congrats to that person. If you have a look at the leaderboard, you'll see the validator leaderboard is ordered by the 7-day income by default. This person basically made a whole bunch of ETH in the last 7 days, but they are number one. So congratulations to them. I wonder if they are a Rocket Fuel watcher. And this is the person. So their time zone is ETC, and they've got 27 validators, and they've got around 10,000 RPL stake. Oh no, sorry, 13,000 RPL stake, and they've delegated their voting to Noshua. So they're one of the smart ones. Okay, let's go back to the Discord now, where we are going to be covering Wick, which is one of the auto moderation tools on the Rocket Pool Discord. I talked about it last week, where it was it banned patches. So patches got banned on Friday, I think, or Thursday last week, well, Wick went a little bit ban happy over the weekend as well. And on Sunday, it banned Ishka, and then it banned Waldorf, and then it banned Waldorf again a few minutes later, and then Waldorf got banned a third time a few minutes after that as well. So Waldorf got banned. I was almost calling him Bandorf there. So he got banned, I think, 3 times in the space of an hour. What happened is I think they were using tinyURL, and if you use tinyURL, Wick doesn't like that, so you automatically get banned for using tinyURL. But I made a silly joke about how the Wick has been infiltrated by a rival protocol, and they are basically erasing all of like trying to hobble Rocket Pool, the protocol, or the protocol DAO of Rocket Pool. Okay, so I talked on Friday's episode, I think, or Thursday's episode, about a new airdrop for Rocket Pool users that people might or might not be able to get. And this was for the Omni layer 2 / something like eigenlayer stuff related nonsense. I'm not even sure exactly what it is. I think maybe it's an AVS, actually. Yeah, it's an AVS on eigenlayer. So they have an airdrop coming, which was really nice, and some of that was going to solo stakers. So I said at the time that, you can put your node address on the hardware wallet and you can check to see if you're eligible. And some people in the community were eligible and some people in the community were not eligible. However, Burn here came up with an idea of using an imposter wallet to check it out, and like adding a watch only address basically. So you would connect with your hot wallet and then you would change the address. I think it's based on Rabbi. Yeah, this is based on Rabbi. So then you could add a watch only and then change it, and then they would tell you. There was basically a way of tricking the website. So I think this was a little bit convoluted. And then after that, Hululo came up with a curl. So he had this curl, and then there was the Omni, like their credentials, and then there was a wallet address. So he says, curl, and then there's a whole thing that you have to run, and it says then you need to run wallet equals 0x blah blah blah. And it says before that, set the wallet variable I use in there, and annoyingly it checks the IP, so you need a VPN if you're in US or Canada and any other blocked countries. So this was really cool of Hello to do this, and he actually checked my address for me, and I was eligible for the airdrop. So the way to claim the airdrop, well, actually let me tell you here. So Omni put out a tweet saying that Tokenomics and claim date. So here the claim date will be on Wednesday, April 17th. So in 2 days from now, and I think it's going to be at 11 a.m. UTC. So if you're in the US, you'll have to make your way to Europe around 5 a.m. Eastern time, or maybe 6 a.m. Eastern time. I always mix up time zones now. So because what will happen is then you'll be able to claim your airdrop. But what you need to do is load your node keys onto a hardware wallet and then use that to connect to the Omni website. And of course, when it comes to the node operator airdrop, it's on its first come first serve basis for the first 5,000 claimers, and you'll be getting 60 tokens, and their value is around $50 right now. So it's about $3,000 per node for each airdrop per node that you're eligible for. And thankfully, I am eligible for this airdrop, so I will be claiming it. Right, next we had this update from JPIC 713, and they work with Myso Finance. Now, we covered their new IOO, which was the initial options offering last week, and how they're making that exclusive as RETH as the deposit for that. And well, here they said that we weren't sure exactly what IOO was and how the mechanisms of it worked. So thankfully, JPIC watched the show, and he says key to this is it behaves like a call option. It's much different risk profile than ICO. The borrower is long the call option and can always, if they choose, get their collateral back minus the upfront fee. They can always choose to keep Myso token if they please. We'll have some more write-ups soon, and thanks for the plug as always, Wack. So remember, this Myso Finance have like a long-standing relationship with the Rocket Pool community. They've used a whole bunch of Rocket Pool stuff, which is really cool. And they've got vaults for RPL bond borrowing and lending and stuff as well. So they're doing some really cool stuff, and they're getting towards their token launch. And the only collateral they'll accept for their token is RETH. So again, that shows you about their relationship with the Rocket Pool community. If you are interested in this, follow up with what they're saying. I'm not 100% up on the details, so I can't really tell you too much about it. But good luck if you're interested. Yeah, I hope it works out for you. Okay, next we're going to move on to some general Ethereum news, and one of those is that Watcher Guru says that Hong Kong now approves Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, and those applications have been accepted. And then there's a link. So the idea here is that, you know, there's ETF in Hong Kong, and this should be accessible, you know, through some loopholes, I'm sure. The people in mainland China is one of the world's biggest crypto markets, and if they get access to ETH and BTC through spot ETFs, there might be some huge inflows. People are throwing around numbers like, you know, $50 billion worth of inflows coming into these ETFs. However, Eric Balchunas, who is the Bloomberg analyst and one of the Bloomberg boys, kind of put some rain on that a little bit. He says, latest on the Hong Kong spot Bitcoin ETFs, they have been approved to exist but not launched yet. Rumor has it they'll be launching in the next week, but not to compete with the Dubai conference. That's Token 49 that's taking place this week. Just don't expect a lot of flows. I saw one estimate of 25 billion. That's just insane. I think we'll be lucky to get 500 million, but here's why. He says the Hong Kong market is tiny. The whole market, sorry, is only 50 billion. And Chinese locals can't buy these, at least officially. There are 3 issues that were approved, but none of those are the big guys. The underlying ecosystem is less liquid and efficient. So they have, like, you know, subject to volatility. The markets aren't mature for buying the actual ETH and BTC on the spot markets. And he says that the fees are going to be really high, around 1 to 2%, so nowhere near the US fees for Bitcoin. And he says other countries adding BTC ETFs will no doubt be additive, but it's nickel dime compared to the mighty US market. So yeah, like, it's good that, you know, these products are getting created, but in terms of how much they'll actually add to the crypto market, it's yet to be seen. Okay, next we're going to talk about Base for a second. So Base has had like a phenomenally explosive growth. So in January, it had $329 million of volume on Uniswap. In February, it had 675 million, but in March, it went up to 9.4 billion. That was the whole month of March in terms of volume on Uniswap. But then in April, we're halfway through and it's already at 7.8 billion. So there's just huge amounts of activity now taking place on Base. So that seems like the place to be if you want to do any kind of degen-y stuff and whatever. I think some of the markets aren't quite that mature, but it seems like there's a lot of like meme activity going on there if you're interested in that. Okay, next we're going to talk about some Diva news and the drama that's going around with Diva. I'm not going to go into it too much. Like, I'm going to put links in the description below so you can go and read it yourself, because it was kind of dirty. Like, things were getting personal. There were a lot of accusations flying about. But here it started with this post that Fizz made in ETH Finance. And in ETH Finance, Fizz said basically Diva seems to be undergoing some pretty significant changes. I'm not sure what to make of it. Let me preface that saying that the DVT design of Diva is extremely powerful and valuable. But then he was just talking about how they're adding LRTs and it's kind of strange, and he's not really sure what to make of it. Basically, he says, as usual, I'm not going to suggest what you do with your tokens. Yes, enjoy making money as much as the next person. Oh, he's saying based on this view, he says, I feel like it's time to make Diva tokens transferable. We have been under the impression that Diva tokens will be transferable at some point this quarter. Now it feels like the right time. I've heard similar sentiment from other Diva delegates. I think it's going to happen sooner than you expect. As usual, I'm not going to suggest what you do with your tokens. Yes, I enjoy making money just as much as the next person, but I'm not a good speculator. I support and promote Diva because I truly love their design, etc., etc. So that's what Fizz had to say. And then in the Rocket Pool community itself, Jasper was saying similar things about making the token transferable. He even put like this little post: should Diva made transferable right now? Yes, 14, no, 5. And there was a whole bunch of discussion with people from the Diva network. I think you can go back a little bit before Jasper's poll, but the main discussion was happening in the friend thread, where there was a whole lot of accusations between like different factions of the team and a community member who was previously on the team. And then they actually went to vote here. So in favor, the vote was so far is 3.8 million. Against it is 26.8 million. So this is going to be rejected. it's not going to be passed. The tokens won't be made transferable yet. However, there was some like scathing comments in the replies and on the forum that they have about people should be thinking about the protocol and not about their own wallets, etc. So yeah. Okay, next we're going to finish on a couple of small things. So the first thing is I made all of my rocket fuel links available for you all to read whenever you want. So this is how I put in the description of the show every day, every episode, and now I've put them all into one master document. So this is 207 pages long, and it basically has every link of everything that I've ever covered in rocket fuel. So you can search for this. I put the link in trading, and I should put it in the ping channel as well, but I'm sure like Jasper will, because he was quite excited about seeing this. But yeah, it's all available for you all if you want to have access to that. And finally, today's episode, I'm going to end it with a couple of Q&A pieces. So I'm trying to introduce this section for Monday's episode. So Jasper says, I want to hear about what airdrops you farmed, are farming, and plan to farm in the future. This is actually a really interesting question because I'm not much of a farmer as much as I want to be. I'll explain what I mean by that. So the only 2 airdrops I've ever actively farmed are ZK Sync Era and Eigenlayer. And now with ZK Sync Era, I've only did it on one wallet, and I have like over 100 nonces on there, not with much volume, like only about 1 ETH, I think, or half an ETH or something, but like many months of back and forth. Like every month I'd sit and try to do 10 nonces just to see what happened. And of course, they haven't had an airdrop yet. With Eigenlayer, I'm doing it across 4 different wallets. One of them I did onto take off into DeFi, on the episode, just to show people how to do it with their RETH, even though I ended up doing it with CBETH at the time. And then more recently, once the restaking stuff was happening, I did 3 wallets with Swell, and also put those into their restaking into going to Eigenlayer. Of course, I don't have long-term hopes of these protocols. I'm probably going to sell them, but that's what I'm doing there. In the future, I'm not looking to actively farm anything right now, although like Scroll and Linear and a couple of others might be worth it, but I just don't have the time to do that, sadly, even though there's really decent money to be made with that. So if you have any suggestions of what I should be farming, let me know and I'll do that. And finally, Shifrin here said, what's your favorite flavor of potato chip? So I grew up in England and I'm like, English born and raised. So for me, my favorite potato chip flavor is actually really weird. You're going to think they're disgusting, but one is called prawn cocktail. If you're Canadian, it tastes a little bit like all dressed. And then my second one is, and my second one is pickled onion. So yeah, those are my favorite flavors, and you can ridicule me all you want, but I don't care. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all had a lovely weekend, even with the horrible price action, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.